So let's see how Leela fares in the grünfeld in this position. This was the first move calculated by Monarch 1.7. Okay, where is the knight going? Probably here. Going after the knight. After the bishop, I mean. You could probably go bishop here. I don't... Well, actually e5 could be quite a problem here. Pawn takes and knight takes e5. Not sure. F4 again. Queen here, knight here. It's difficult to assess, but we have knight g5 and bishop here, so that's exactly what we have. Maybe not. Maybe e5 is something, because e5, if en passant, then the bishop is hanging, because the bishop also covers this. So therefore e5 might be an idea here. The other one, but what is if you just go back with the bishop? For example here, relation takes, queen takes, hitting the knight. You could grab the bishop. But then bishop takes knight anyway. So h5, h3 might be something. So how did this even occur? So I think after bishop a1, taking on e5 might be wrong. So you might consider something like rook fe8, new main line. So rook fe8, and if takes, knight takes, pawn here, e5, and pawn there. Can you sacrifice something here? Ah, we don't have this. We instead have bishop takes and queen takes. Now e5 is also possible. Maybe even stronger, because where is the queen going? Maybe to d1, hitting the knight. Knight f6, takes. Yeah, it looks dangerous, but it also looks kind of dangerous for white. So could be somewhat double-edged, this position. Probably better for white. Something like this, and queen h3. Maybe something to keep in mind. So e5 is one option. There is also knight h6 maybe. Knight h6. There's also knight h6 in some cases. What about castles here? And f5 takes, knight takes, hitting the queen, queen here, rook there. No, that's not good. That's definitely not good. Queen e5, new main line, queen e5. It's difficult actually. There is no real attack as long as this bishop stays around. So we have castles actually. So what's the move? So we have bishop takes, queen takes. Rook c8, new main line, castles, and knight f6 back. So this is how Leela wants to play this. Monarch places bishop there, maybe preparing to push the pawn. e5 now. No, e5, not e3. e3 there could be e5, but then you grab this. And it's kind of good for black. So e3, e6. You cannot grab because the queen would hang. So how are you gonna proceed here? Okay, let's just cover the queen, but then you get something like rook takes, takes. Well, it's kind of an evenish position, right? Bishop here, queen there, bishop here, something along those lines, but not e6. Not e6. We have, instead of e6, we have the move queen h3. Queen h3, new main line. And bishop g3. What about queen h6 now? Hitting the pawn on f4, e5. Knight here, h3. Yeah, that doesn't look right. So e5. Oh, you can grab, maybe. No, first after e5 you have to grab the rook, and you cannot really grab the other stuff as well, so this might be terrible, so I'm deleting this variation. Queen h4 is also possible here, going after the pawn that way. This might be stronger, but okay, e5. Knight here, pawn here, rook there, pawn takes. This is nothing for black. There is no real attack. I can't believe this. So let's see what Leela comes up with. Leela plays the move queen h4. Yes, queen h4 as I expected. So now e5. Ah, you have knight h5, new variation, going after h4 yet again, and now there is no defense of this pawn, so therefore Monarch captures on c8, takes, and now still knight c5 could be something. So how are you gonna go about knight h5? You can go bishop f3, but then again you gain nothing as white, you can just repeat. And I'm not even sure if after bishop here you don't... if you gain something here, it's not that clear. c3, takes. And queen a6 maybe to go after the d6 pawn and after the a7 pawn. I'm not sure if, probably black is better here, maybe white can hold. So this is nothing. Bishop f3 might be the only thing to do so. We have queen takes a7 instead, getting this pawn but leaving that pawn hanging. So queen f2, queen takes and knight takes pawn. Although then you lose the rook, that might not be that great. But you have this new variation, check. And f3, but then queen here and rook there might be something. So let's see. Queen here, it's not really that big of a threat actually. But what about now knight here to there? There are ideas. I guess Monarch is going after the pawn here. Maybe not even that. Maybe just immediately going for this. New main line. Takes. Knight takes. Actually here you have this beautiful kind of stuff. This is kind of nice here. So it could be in the position. Also after this check, you can also win the queen, but this is much nicer. So let's see. Okay, we have this, but not rook c7 or rook c2. We have rather the move rook e1 by Leela. So let's see. a4, you have to push your passed pawn, although then you suffer against this. And if you play something like this, then that's the idea, opening up the rook towards the pawn. So and also this move just covers the pawn, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not like black has won a pawn. I think black has to give it up quite soon. Maybe rook f3. So we have a similar kind of situation here. How is this? Queen here checking there, and e6, and then d6, and that's not very good. And otherwise this check doesn't really do that much. So we don't have it. We have knight h5, new variation. Check, king here, and then you might have a perpetual, although the rook can block. No, can't really. Yeah, rook bishop can block in combination. Not really. Black at least gets a perpetual check here. I mean, for example, a4. Then you have queen here, check. 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 No, you don't. So you cannot sacrifice like this. But what is... Okay, queen here, hitting the rook. Hitting the rook. So what about rook b8? Trying to get in. What is black's move here? I would still go for something like a4, rook here, queen there, check, king here, and a6, check, knight check. Now you kind of have this perpetual if you want, but you can also do something else after this check. For example, knight here. This might be interesting, going after the bishop. And if this, do you have knight takes? No, you don't. But you have something like this you can play, and that's pretty carnage, right? Okay, therefore rook b8 was played. Rook b8 was played, and now queen c2, preventing this stuff. Queen c3. So now how is it? 4 against 5 pawns, but this bishop on g2 is not really doing that much. So let's see. But what can black do here actually? Go after the a pawn? So something like this? I don't know. I don't really see now a clear plan for black. Queen there, okay, that's a plan. Trying to go knight f5 to hit the bishop. f4 still knight takes f4, so that's not a point. So what about queen here? Knight f4 anyway. And queen here, check. Ah, no. Queen here hitting the rook, new variation. So I'd go rook b2 now, trying to go for mate. And if rook there, I'm probably just gonna go do something like this. and that's pretty terrible actually. Now for white, so I guess rook b2 will be played. Rook b2. I'm not sure. I don't think that you go back in this position. He goes after the a pawn. Okay, rook b2 was something most probably, but at least I would have gone for it. So, but how to defend the a pawn? If you do something like this, then queen, then knight f4 check, and knight f4, and you have to go all the way back. Still not that sure how to proceed. Going after the rook might be something. Okay, he doesn't. After rook a8, we have the move f4. You may like going after the queen, now that their own queen covers the pawn as well. So, what is Leela actually up to here? For me, white stands better from my little eyes. So queen g4, h3, queen here might be. Queen takes pawn and rook takes here. Queen is coming to g4, you have to prevent this. But how? You can go knight back actually. Because if takes, you have this mate. So there is still some play in the position. So what does black do here? e5, new variation, h6 anyway. And now if you go there, then knight here. Still you have this kind of defensive idea, but then knight takes pawn. Again, if you take this, then this is mate. So if you take this, new main line, then check. Going there, check. And getting the bishop. And if you go there, new variation, then... Oh no, this doesn't work. But you have 3 against 3, it's not that bad. Okay, maybe you have to take care of the d-pawn. So probably something like this. And it will be playable probably for both sides. So we have h3. So we're currently at that board position. h3, I'm expecting queen e2 here. And after queen e2, you can't really take this for that. Or you can, and maybe something like this will be the continuation. You can also play something like, after queen there, you can also play something like rook here. Queen g3. Queen g3 instead. Queen g3, new variation. So now, if you take this, rook here doesn't work because kind of you don't have this kind of stuff because of knight f6. Now the mate is threatened, and you also cannot play this. You can't also play this because of that. Or here, it doesn't matter. So a3 was played. I would just grab it with the rook. I mean, it doesn't change anything here for white. The position seems to be very hard to defend. Takes and rook here. How are you gonna do this? You can't. You simply can't defend here. Yeah, the queen on g3 is better positioned because now you don't have to worry about queen h4s as in the other line I showed. So this is kind of better. So you cannot play this. So what can you play then? You could play something like this or that. Oh no, that doesn't work. Because yeah, you have this check and knight f3 or something, but you can't take because it's defended. So you would just lose a queen. Yeah, rook takes a3 and it's basically the same stuff. Yeah, now black has some kind of check, but it doesn't really help him. White does some kind of check. So this is the current board position. I think Leela is in all kind of ways winning, and it's also 4 pawns against 4. So this is pretty terrible for white. So queen here check. Okay, at least you cover the second rank. That was kind of the plan. So either knight here or f6. But f6, I mean, it looks more to the point. But queen here, rook there, queen takes, king here, queen there, and knight here, and there is still no defense. So f6 is still might be something here, and you cannot go after the d pawn, not even with check, because here there is just no defense for white. So f6 might be a move, or knight f6, but I'm betting on f6. I'm betting on f6. Let's see what Leela comes up with here. Oh, he doesn't do that any also. He just simply goes there. New main line. She simply goes there. So now the threat is knight h4 again, and now then you have pressure against this. Also queen rook b6. Now you again have many ideas. So what to play? Queen f2. Queen f2 might be something, and white holds on. At least I don't see anything. Maybe queen b6, but then maybe something like this. Rook there, queen there, takes rook, takes, and knight here anyway. But then bishop here hits the knight, and yeah, this endgame is probably nothing for either side. So I don't see a clear win after queen f2. Yes, queen f2 was played, and it should be somewhat equal. I'm looking at Monarch's evaluation here. He says 0.11, and we indeed have this move by Leela, what I'd expected. But f5, rook here, queen there. Maybe you don't go for the queen exchange, maybe you just go there. But again, queen here. This doesn't work because the rook would hang. So yeah, this whole stuff doesn't seem to work. Yeah, we have f5. We have f5 here. And now queen f3. Maybe you don't go there with the rook. But what else do you do then? I mean, you clearly don't want to take this. So rook there, yes. As I had expected. As I have expected. So what's the move now? Queen f3 most probably. Offering a queen exchange. Yeah, and if you take it, it's just a draw, I guess. But there were many lines where white could have gone wrong, but in the end it's kind of pays off pretty well. I don't think black has anything here. Okay, but black survived it so far. Queen here, rook there. Maybe black is still a little bit better in that endgame, but not by a lot. I'm not sure actually, so let's just go for it. New main line, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, queen here, knight here, going after the bishop. I just want to see if the king and pawn endgame is winning or drawing. Probably it's winning for white even, so black can't do something like this. Ah, okay, we have queen f3 and now queen here check. Now queen here check, that's better. This check I missed. This check I missed because now you can't block with the queen. Because of the rook. So I think going there is mad because of queen here check. e5 queen, this all doesn't work. And if you go here, then knight here might be something. Okay, you block with the rook, fine. Block the check with the rook, but this might not be that great, I guess. Again, the endgame, you cannot really go in for the endgame. But what can you do? Rook here check. This could lead to something actually. King here, and now queen there check. Oh, that's actually bad for white. So you have to go bishop here, new variation. But still queen d6 might be an idea. g5. Okay, instead of this check, just g5, new variation. You want to go there with the knight. Okay, you keep chances alive that way. And now Gecko Monarch 1.7 starts to think that this position is actually better for black. It is probably, but yeah, the activity of the pieces is pretty nice here. So pawn here, and now this check comes. Bishop here and knight there. This was probably the idea. But okay, this pawn is currently defended, but what is white actually doing? e6 takes. And taking with the other pawn. It doesn't really matter. Just what is black actually doing? What is black doing? What is black doing here? Everything seems to be covered. Knight here does not work. Queen takes. Knight takes, queen takes. This is even worse. So what about queen e5? Those lines. Just to get ready for knight to here. Maybe queen e5 immediately after knight f5 and rook that check. I mean, I don't really see another way of dealing with things. You can also go there, but I don't believe in this. I really don't, because what happens after this? Rook here. Queen here. Rook here. And queen takes pawn. So queen here, rook there, queen here. Okay, it's an attack on the pawn, so what happens if you just push it? So this is actually the move played in the game after the rook check, king h2. So you grab this, yeah, okay. You push f6 most probably. But what about if you go d6? Then check, winning the pawn. So this might not be that great, but okay, we don't have this. We have after king h2, we have the move rook there. Rook e1, just going after the e-pawn that way. And if rook there, this is nasty, then you have this mate. So how are you covering the pawn? You cannot really, you could try something like queen here. Variation. No, you can't, because this just hangs the rook. So e6 yet again. And pawn here, or even this check. Actually, this check is completely crushing, so you can't even go e6. That's kind of annoying. So you kind of lose that pawn pretty much whatever you do. So rook here was played, and now it's just game over. It's just game over. So king h6. There were a couple of moves which were impressing to me, played by Leela. So queen here, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, this pawn is covered by the king, and I would probably just go queen e6, queen d6. Also knight f4 might be something, with rook here to come. This is a completely winning position for black now. This is a completely winning position for black now. Yeah, queen d6. King h8 and knight here. I would go followed up with rook there, because the knight is also covering that square. The queen can take the rook. So maybe h4 here, but then just f6. Right, and if takes, then there is no check because the knight covers everything. There is actually quite nothing. So this is also nothing because the knight also covers that square. So maybe you have to give up the rook there. New variation takes, queen takes, check. Queen, bishop, knight f6 back is the move here after that. Knight here, knight f6 to hit the queen, Where's the queen going? Queen here, queen f3. I mean, it's the only logical move here in the position. Or queen d4, yes, queen d4 is also kind of nice. Now what do you play? Rook b2 maybe? h4, g4. So I will be pretty much surprised. Here. Okay, the plan is now clear. You want to play h5, h4, probably bring the king or the queen or the rook or both to the h file. It's very difficult, or maybe not even this is the plan. Maybe the plan is just to bring a pawn there and then move move the knight and bring the queen over and mate him over there. So h4, I bet Leela is gonna go there. I mean, the knight nicely covers the pawn, so there is no queen takes. And yeah, what is the point here? So h4, I mean, gh4, I wouldn't do that. I would go g4, trying to go g3. But Leela is down on 4 minutes 40 seconds against nearly 10 minutes. Here we have g4 here. Queen here covers against any g3 ideas. But what about queen b6 or queen c5? I'm betting queen b6 because it stays on the 6th rank. This might be useful in some variations. So where are you going? Queen here? Actually, and black achieved nothing. So h5 or knight takes, but knight takes is also kind of bad because then you lose this pawn, but you can go h5. I'm not sure if you can. And the king is on d7, and there is no real way through for white to black's king. Although on the other hand, as I said, that there might be something like this. So okay, g6, h6, preventing those kind of ideas. So h6, just playing it slow, a slow move in the middle of the battle, just to prevent your opponent's play. So h6 here. Yeah, asking white what to do. White hasn't really got a move, so you have to go there. See, just look and wait. But black also doesn't have many moves here. Okay, this pawn is weak. Okay, rook here finally. Queen takes, pawn takes. This is a bad endgame for white because you have weaknesses all over the place. And then, okay, black just goes in for it, but white just goes in for it, but white is not really happy here. So now maybe something like this and that, and rook here is coming, so probably white goes there just to cover against rook here. But then rook there and this pawn bites the dust, so you can't really save both pawns actually. So rook here, new variation, and rook there. Yeah, I think the rest is kind of easy. I mean, rook here, what do? You have rook there, because after rook here, use the fact that the knight is pinned. It's not really pinned, you have this check and this, and now you actually only have one pawn. I'm not sure if this is winning. Probably there is a simpler way of doing things, simpler solution. I don't know. I mean, rook d6 is coming anyway. Rook a6. So I think you have to go in for something like this. Yeah, we have rook d5 is actually better. Although I don't know, it's kind of leading to the same stuff. No, rook here, rook takes. This is not a pin, you keep the rooks on the board. And you prevent that. Yeah, therefore it's better, because now you have a knight jump anywhere basically, and you win the other pawn as well. You can even take the bishop first and then take the pawn, and then you will be up 2 pawns. So yeah, this is completely lost now. Yeah, knight takes, and something like this. It's completely unplayable now for white. Yeah. Very well, very well. And now knight f4, I guess. Or knight e3, yeah. Knight e3 also. It's basically the same stuff. Okay, it doesn't let the bishop escape, so it might be even strong. Well, the bishop could escape, maybe, but still, being up 2 pawns is just being up 2 pawns. And you want to take it with the knight to attack the rook, and then to push g3 and give that check on the back rank, maybe. So yeah, you push this with check. Would have put this, yeah, it would have been the same. So currently you're not up. A lot of material, but you're kind of up material. What about rook here? Just going after the pawn. If you move the rook, yeah, you could attack the knight. You could attack the knight. But knight here? And this is covered. Okay, this is covered, so you cannot pin the knight to the arriving rook there, or king. So yeah, actually after rook e6, yeah, it's basically the same. You can play this first, new variation, but the point is rook e6. It doesn't even matter what white plays. Oh, this. Yeah, this is desperate now. This is just desperation, because you just take it, right? You just take it and play rook h6 anyway. Rook e6, so takes rook here, rook e6. I'm not sure. This might be losing. This might be losing. Takes, and pawn here. Yeah, it is losing indeed. So in that variation you keep the f pawn but lose the h pawn, but you don't really have to go in. Yeah, you have to as black. You should take the pawn. Yeah, of course. And now you're up 2 pawns, and those are 2 connected passes. But now king, rook here, but this doesn't matter. Just king back. So yeah, rook b6, not rook d7. Rook b6. Rook b6. This would lose, yeah, we just discussed that. So what's the plan here? Probably just king back to g6. Now rook here, takes, and e6 loses the pawn. So this is completely lost now. Just king g6, and yeah, being up 2 pawns in this endgame. Oh, queen g, king there even. You don't care. You just want to push those pawns, or maybe even bring the king in like this. Okay, king g2 we have. Yeah, white has to see and wait. But 1 minute 35 is pretty less. Not a lot of time for Leela. But okay, I gave them, I think, 15 minutes plus 15 seconds increments. So yeah. So h5. You can just push h4, h3, and the knight and the pawn are creating a wall here, so there is no approaching, and rook here might be coming in some lines, although the king can go there. But well, the next couple of moves are kind of logical. You just push h4 here, right? Yes. But you don't push h3, you actually threaten this check to push the king all the way down, and if king here, you even have knight there check. The king has to go there, and then pawn h3, because this would then be a mate threat. So just to show you a random move by black. Wow, you go in for it? King here, new main line, knight g4, where are you going? Knight here, okay. King, no, this doesn't help you, you just go there, push h3, and how do you prevent h2 mating? That's kind of interesting. I mean, you have a check, but king g2, h3 immediately. Wait, king f1, h3. What's the difference? Let's just put a random move on the board. Check, check. Ah, this is not check, so check. King here. I don't see the point in h3 here, but I mean, for me this would have been more straightforward, but okay, h3. Yeah, now minus 4.2, so h3 must be a good move, well, also according to Monarch 1.7. So yeah, h2 is a threat, right? h2, but yeah, bishop here to cover the queening square, but then g4. This looks, and g3, I mean, this looks completely busted. There is not even a move white can even play. Yeah, this exchange, it doesn't really help you. So we have this move, new variation. If takes pawn here, this might not even be that winning, but this one, new variation. So g3. Some checks like this. I don't know. I don't see them. What about bishop? Yeah, bishop d4 might be even. Knight d4 might be stronger. No, it's not. So g3. This is the. I just saw knight g4 in my eye winkle. That Monarch thought this move is good, but now after g6. It just thinks it is completely over, and it looks like this. Yes. Now maybe knight d4, king, even king f3. Now being up 3 pawns, just like this, it's completely busted for white. So just take the pawn on f3, or knight here is. Knight here, you just leave the pawn. You main line. So you want to go knight there, check, force the king in the corner, push the pawn through. So bishop there is the only move. You can also try bishop here, but this is more active. So bishop c6 was played. What about king here now? By the way, if bishop there, then you could have also gone here. Also in this variation, king here, it's basically the same. There, the knight here, but you have time. You can just grab the pawn, and Leela does so with 38 seconds left on the clock. So let's see. Okay, Monarch 1.0 finally resigned. Yeah, very well game, well played. So thanks for watching, see you next time, ciao.